2nd. It's the fourth line day, I believe. Let me just double check that it still is that. No, just now. Yep, fourth line day. So solar return later this evening or tomorrow? No, probably later, huh? Anyway, if you're feeling emotional, touchy, nervous, sensitive, deep breath, this too shall pass. When it comes to the emotional activations, there's quite a lot. As you can see, look at that, how many different, not only emotional activations, but we have a whole channel. We have 1, 2 gates pointing at the emotional system. So this is a pretty sensitive, potentially, time of year. Yeah. Oh, tomorrow. Tomorrow it's going to change. Okay. Yeah. So when it comes to doing your analysis work, yeah, delivering on your practice, it's part of the mentoring process. And so I'm open to working with you if you are stuck in any place of delivering or preparing for your delivery, I should say. So anybody who needs some particular support, sometimes until you do the homework, you don't really know even what to ask. Like I was just working with Ryan, who's in the other class right before this one, and like asking questions like, how do we really, address these elements that are in combination, like this 56 in combination here? Yes, I would bring that up if you see it in the nodes. Remember, the incarnation cross and the nodes, most important thing, keynote weave, the large big picture viewpoint, but getting into specifics here is where we really want to practice. Yeah, keeping it big picture view type, strategy and authority, but also synthesizing. And synthesizing, takes some practice. And this is the thing that we're doing in this class is having the practice and playing. So, as an example, one thing that I wanted to bring to the awareness of people is that when you start to keynote weave and practice, what tends to happen is you get these horrendous run on sentences. And that is part of how they teach us, these really big, like long run on sentences. In practice, that doesn't work, especially with people who are step by step generative. So, pure sacral generators, you give them big, long winded blah, blah, blahs, especially projectors out there, you're going to lose them. So check in practice. Again, I'm giving you tools, tips, techniques also for doing the work of an analyst. Give them space, take breaths, touch in with them. How's that landing with you? Do you know what I mean? Can you see what I'm saying? Have you experienced that? Depending on their design. So trying to touch in with that person's authority too over the experience with the pure sacral generator, getting yes, no questions lightly peppered within to see if you can get a response if they're just sitting there silent and you have no connectivity with them, meaning it's going over their head potentially. So just checking in. Okay, so let's check in and see. I'm just going to go around the room and see how your homework's going. So Raquel, I know you're complete. We don't have to work with that. Diana, how are you doing with preparing for homework? Anything you have questions wise?
Hi, Lavinia.
Hi.
Unfortunately, I have not embarked on my homework yet, so I'm
Okay.
hoping to do that this weekend.
Ah,
But if
okay. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So let's do this. Just to play. I'm gonna put in the cross of life. There we go. Okay. So that's you see, I don't know if everybody knows that you can do this now. This is a newer feature where you just select cross of life and now look, everything's there that you're wanting to really go and do your research on. So researching and making a list. I love how Ryan did this. Check out at the top here. He got his pictures. Okay, this is how I want it submitted, please, in a doc. Pictures at the top. So we have this, the full thing, and then this. And then what that does is I open it up separately on a different window while you're also reading now. Notice how he did. He just started keynoting, put all the keynotes there, gathered all his keynotes. And then he got quotes from Ra, got quotes to get inspired. And then he started writing. Okay. And so as you're reading this to me, I listen while you're reading it out loud, and I'm looking at the image at the same time. And you can either just go on and on and on, like you've already seen us do, and I can give you feedback at the end. Or if you have a question during, which is today, hi, any questions during out there as you're working on your homework, you can stop and say, I'm really not sure about this. Okay. So that's totally fine by me because it doesn't have to be a performance. Yeah. You can have permission to be yourself in this. And if you need support, that's what these classes are about. So let's just take a brief look at this then and see if I remove this, if there's going to be anything else that pops into our awareness. So those two connected, this one, nothing else. This one, you have a conjunction. So that's going to be something that you're going to want to weave in. Okay, Diana, you see that? Because it's conjunct on the incarnation cross. And then, yeah, that's the only place where I just want to make a special note that you want to weave that in, besides the fact that you've got channels there. Yeah, so you use the channel keynotes. Okay. All right. So Machilen is not here, but how about Lisa? Is Lisa here? Lisa Sparhawk, do you have any questions about your homework? How you doing?
I actually have not started it yet, so thank you, Diana, for saying that first. Um, no, my mother just had surgery this week, and I am planning surgery myself. So
Mhm,
and I still have connections to finish, which has been started. So I'm
mhm,
just here, listening, enjoying. And
mhm,
since you asked, is that
mhm.
screen, that cross on Maya Mechanics, is that available without an upgrade?
Oh, it should be. Yeah. If
Okay.
view
All right.
mode, go to Cross of Life. Um, I'm not certain because
Okay.
I have everything, subscribed and unlocked, but it should be something that a part of the regular subscription if that's something that you have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've been working on the desktop, so I haven't even done anything with the new one. But I guess it's
Aha.
time to open it up
Yeah, no,
and look
it's got
around.
some great features. I mean, look at this image. You see, um, it narrows down the focus so that you can concentrate on what we're really doing here, which is life work, drop it into the nodes. Yeah, so it makes it a lot simpler as far as what I want you to focus on. And then if we see what I did here is I just rolled my mouse over, seeing the conjunctions. Okay, so that's nice to know. And then seeing this up here, we see that right here, you have some extra keynoting to do because you've got your what's hiddens. Let me turn off VG5. We've got your illusion, art, spirituality, part of your connection to your grounding. Yeah, so you're going to want to weave these things into there. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
This was perfect. It was a perfect
Good.
way to start today's class and to give me a little
Yeah.
bit of focus and a place to
Mm-hmm.
begin. So works good.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, my pleasure. Oh yeah, Natalie, I hate that BG5 view too. It's just like, I don't get as much data. It's kind of like when I shifted over from Maya Mechanics, it took me so dang long to train my eye to see this chart over here as this. I mean, mm, I can't wait until this is a potential on the software online because I feel like I think clearer or now it's been over a year, feels like. I felt like I thought clearer when I was looking at this graph with these shapes, and it takes a while to train to see the letters as a symbol. And even now, the symbol makes it so much. I just translate the letter into a symbol so that I can explain it correctly. It oversimplifies that letter. It's not adequate, that letter. What's hidden is not Neptune, illusion, art, spirituality. There's so much more there. There's this drug, psychic phenomena. There's the deep well or ocean of consciousness that is a potential. And you can see here with Mari as an example, she's got that there conjunct multiple activations that she's going to be looking at. So, Mari, do you have any questions? Any need for engagement today about your homework?
And no questions, and
Mhm.
I don't anyway.
Mhm.
I will completely jump on the same train of not having started.
Okay. Okay.
But I do have time set aside. I just got back late
Good.
last night from a
I
10-day
was wondering.
trip Diego, so I am struggling to get my brain online
Mm.
today. Then I got
Mhm.
another event early tomorrow, and then I have a 3-day event next week. So then starting
Ooh.
next Thursday, yeah, it's kind of an intense month. So starting next
Mhm.
Thursday, oh, I see where I yeah, next Saturday, I've carved out a block of time, but I have every confidence. I've got myself down for the 7th, and
Okay.
which is 2 weeks today, I think. Yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to it. Miss
Awesome.
Explainer is looking forward to explaining her incarnation cross.
Yay. Yes. Yes. I look forward to this. I really do. Because, when you dive into it and you dig up, unearth those details and explain it in your own way, you're going to find so much self-recognition. I just know it. And I'm looking
Hmm.
forward to seeing that.
Yay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, well,
Okay.
thanks for holding these. Even when you don't have someone signed up to deliver, it's nice to just touch base and check in and keep the momentum
Mhm.
going. So yeah, I appreciate
Yeah,
being here.
absolutely. My pleasure. Okay. So then Hung isn't able to be here live because, time differences. My goodness, I wouldn't expect that. But Hung, if you have any recognitions, things that you want to ask, let's just take a look, see what I'm doing. I'm going to do it over and over again with everybody's charts right here. Okay, so wanting to see what is the effect. Remember, nodes are portals in space. So you will never get an exaltation or a detriment out of a node. It's you will see a planetary aspect that might affect how the node is expressed. Yeah. So in this case, we don't see that Mars affects the 12 in line 6, but we have Mars in the 12 line 6. So that's an exact conjunction, you see. Not exact, I should say. This is a 6 color. So resonance principle, that's a first color. So it's not precisely exact, but line quality it is. So I would advise, for each of you to see where you might have something like that show up and how might you explain that or share what that has as an effect on the path that you're walking. So as an example, what does that have an effect on the path that you're walking? Well, in the first part of your life, because this is where we are, right? South Node, first part of the life, walking that path, we have Mars there. So what does Mars bring? Somebody give me some keynotes. Mars brings well-muscled vitality. He brings drive and prowess. He brings what else? What does Mars give us? Athleticism, immaturity. Thank you, Diana. What else? What else do we have from Mars? Somebody give me the M word. What's a powerful M word? It's in this stream here as well. Individuality is a powerfully what? Not just motivation, but mutation. Thank you, Nina. Excellent job. So that kind of stuff you want to weave into your keynoting, like really process this. What is this for you? Isn't that nice, Oni? Yeah, mutation. It's powerfully mutative. I'll tell you a little secret about Mars. Mars is the thing that breaks us free from the mundane, everyday, humdrum reality, the illusions of the Maya. Mars is temperature. Mutation, transformation takes heat. This is your physical body's temperature. So really looking at these activations as life. These are life aspects that are critical, vital. Think vitality. Yeah, Mars. Mars brings energy. Think young bull, strong like bull. Oh, depends on how that shows up for you. I have Mars and not Neptune, Mars and Mercury together in a channel. So you know, being able to have some stamina when it comes to an energy to speak and communicate when I'm in the mood, feeling, and all that stuff. Okay, so let's look at Jasmine's together because I don't see her hair. What do we have? Anything? Aha, right here. What are some keynotes we might use in combination with, so this is an undefined center. Therefore, we know we have conditioning, receptivity. What is the combination that we might use keynote-wise? Throw me out some keynotes on Uranus and explosion. Oh, interesting. Was that for this one, Lavana? Explosion for Uranus? An action, unusual ideas, chaos, innovative, inconsistent. Thank you. What else? Sudden shifts, movement. Yeah, movement, physical, sidetracked. Yeah, ideas, odd, strange. Thank you. Yeah, sudden, chaotic. Realism, grounding. Being realistic is grounding for you. I might say something like that. Yeah. Even though you have these sudden, look at that, that's almost exact, not quite. We don't see the color resonance, but we see the line quality resonance. So great job. So we want to make sure that that's woven in. Besides the big picture view, yeah, it doesn't take very long to keynote weave what kind of energetic is here in this person's example. Here's Nancy. Let's take a look at Nancy together. What might you say with that one? What are some keynotes? Just throwing out some keynotes of the combination of what we might expect to hear or are likely to hear from Nancy. Right here. We have the gate of breakthrough in a channel, defined channel. So we have something that's fixed, not flexible. And it's going to be part of her unconscious core essence, her prime emanation of her physicality, her vitality. Vitality is a good word for the sun, especially when it's in a defined state. But what else might you say? We have Saturn. We have personality, nodal, south node. Start one at a time. Saturn is discipline. It rhymes with structuring, structure. What else? Discipline, structure. Does Saturn bring limitation? Yeah, he's a great teacher. Yeah, great teacher. Yeah. She is naturally gifted at having her brilliant insights consistently when she's in response, in the mood, explaining, individual, empowered, naturally insightful. Yeah, insight, breakthrough insights. Okay. Do you guys remember how to explain nodal line qualities? Line qualities? Who is she really here to see? She here to see people who are shy? Yeah, do not explain. Share your concentrated explanations unless you're in response. Insights. She's here to see people getting called out with her explanations. Yeah, it's really, you never leave the south node behind when you've got it in a channel. To see heresy. Excellent, Diana. Thank you. What else? Are we going to see practicality in times of crisis? Keep your explanations practical. What else? We're seeing heresy. So my mind thought something and I don't feel comfortable sharing it, but Sometimes this mind, it could be something for someone, but not here now. Just remember when you're describing these qualities, you can go and look them up. That's why I've given you all the materials. You don't have to memorize anything. Just go look it up and break down your lists. Okay. Make your notes just like this. This is how you get started, my friends. See this? Just let out all of your notes. Put all your notes on a piece of paper. I know this is hard for those of you who are not strategic to write something for me, but this is part of the process. Okay. All right. Alex, we can see. Do we have conjunctions? Right here. There's one. So Sun and Mercury are commonly close to each other. Why? Because Mercury moves so quickly and it's close to the Sun. So there's never going to be a real far reaching, orb, if you will, of the Sun away from the conscious anyway. Conscious might be with the unconscious, but you can see relative to what is there. Yeah, that's the only one. So does anybody recall? Let's see if we have somebody in here who has this. Just looking. Give me a moment. The mind here. Okay. Does anybody recall what it means for a node to have a conjunction of a planet, conscious personality side? Besides the fact that we've got multiple keynotes to work with, what else does it mean? Do you remember? What do we describe nodes as besides portals and space? Nodes are indicators of what? Environment, direction. What else are they? Think about, what we see, where we're walking. So in transpersonally between one person and another, what is it relative to, I'll use as an example, a story. My chart is not up here because then you'll remember it. Maybe you will. Has anybody ever had a karmic relationship? You know what I mean when I say karmic relationship? The exact, okay? Not just maturity, because these are developmental. Nodes are developmental. They're also karmic. Yeah, you've had a karmic relationship. So think about now, you and your mom. There you go, Raquel. Okay. So you have a karma with that person because their sun earth is exactly the same as your nodes or vice versa, right? It's karmic. So then what does this mean? This right here. We have this as part of the portal. So this is part of the developmental, because it's developmental here, lifelong learning process that this person brought into this life from the past. Past karma. Nodes are karmic. Okay, so just something to think about when you're attempting to describe things. You're not just looking at lifeless windows into the cosmos. If there's a planet there, then there's something that's being brought through that portal. This one from a past life, okay? Past experience. So just being aware that that is a potential. Okay, with Lavana, do we see any connections? Right here. There's the north node and the body, the physicality has a conjunction, not only with the design, but also the moon. So weaving these keynotes in, what might you say in combination with north node, moon, and earth in the gate of growth? What might you say? How do we describe the symbology of north node, unconscious moon, and unconscious earth? Good recognition, Diana. We see we have an exact repeating pattern of line quality. So my mind immediately goes to, what is that line quality? I know it because it's an interesting one. I can remember it. Unconscious, driving force. Moon pulls or pushes at you. Driving force. Excellent. But what else? Part of the path that we're seeing laid out in the road in front of us. What's most grounding? We use the term grounding for the earth. Guys, remember that this is the middleman, the maturity to bring growth through mediation. So that is a repeating pattern. When I find repeating patterns in a design, I want to make sure that I bring them up. This is the strongest activation on the physical form side. The body is the life after all. This is most grounding to be a middleman. And we have a basic split. And we have a fourth line. Fourth line is friendship, familiars, influence. So just adding all these keynotes, how can you language it? And remember, it's the poetry of keynoting. It's just about practicing and playing. There are no wrong answers as long as you're identifying correctly the thematics that are there. When you keynote weave, it means something in this way, it means something in that way. And when you keynote weave, you're just getting more and more closer to precise capability of interpretation, interpreting symbology into language that in a way that rings true or empowers or helps that person see your point of view on what they're going through, because that's what they came to you for. Yeah, they came for their ability to hear this one. We want to self-empower and help them be satisfied with who they are for themselves. And that's a big part. Yeah. Remember the sun, earth, the imprinting, big, huge part. So we're just bringing in that focus and then adding on, oh, there's this unconscious driving force. Yeah. Trial and error assists growth. Trial and error assists growth. And you're driven, unconsciously driven through this trial and error that assists growth on this path of being able to fulfill your life's work of being a middleman, grounded by being somebody who can help others by being the go-between. That's another way of saying middleman, you see. Lavana, do you have any questions about how it's going with getting your homework done?
Like my colleague, I don't do for now, but I will
Okay.
do because
Okay.
next week is my week.
Yes. Time to start putting it together. Yeah.
Yeah.
And right there, we just did a significant portion of it. You know, we brought the focus. Let's start here. Okay. You can start here, of course, but you've already got your notes. You can start writing that out when you come into the world aware and awake as yourself. It's transformational. Of course, we focus on that, but we see that there's a repeating pattern here. So big picture view, make sure that you get these all woven together. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
All right. Yeah, notes first. And you know, if your time comes and you've only gotten so far, you've got your notes and you've even just got a paragraph, that's enough to get started. Okay. Don't feel analysis paralysis is a real thing. Especially if you are undefined in the heart. Remember, you don't have to prove anything to me. We just want to get you going. So do what you can, get as far as you can, and we shall take it further in your practice. It's a
Thank
play.
you.
Yeah, you're welcome. No stress, no pressure. Okay. Alex is also taking this remotely because, you know, time-wise, very, very middle of the night there for them. So let's take a look and see what do we have connecting here. I don't see anything there. I don't see anything there. So nothing conjunct with the sun earths, but here, do we see anything? No, right there. There's one. Okay, so I would anticipate being able to hear what it's like to have this planetary life aspect of Venus, values and relating, conjunct where the node is, that portal in space. So if we think about what this literally means, it means when we looked up into the sky when Alex was born, Venus, that beautiful evening star, may not have been up in the sky because, you know, it could have been anywhere. Yeah, we can't see because we don't have rising signs in human design. But here we can see clearly that Venus is there in that area of the body graph. Clearly, it's right there, right? So then what does that mean to have part of your internal mind structure, your value system, be part of the developmental path that you're walking? Well, there's different line qualities. So that's how we make the distinction. But that there's an emphasis, yeah, in the first part of the life, particularly about the mysteries, finding one's inner truth. Through the relational dynamic, we have a single definition. Okay, what else do we have? That 60, this one. So there's two in Alex's chart that I would like to hear about. This on the body side, we have Mars, again, which is maturation through cycles of experience. Because why? It's cyclical in nature and it's Mars, maturing energy dynamics, may or may not mature over one's lifetime. We see it's a 6. So we know 50 and beyond for that 6-line role model sharing of the curiosity and the storytelling and so forth. So we have that being, you see that right there, Mars. Mars is the reason why this path is being pulled and where he's going to fulfill his life's work. The power of stimulation to provoke and disturb, right there, is where he's with people with whom that element, that direction, stimulation, the wanderer, where stimulation can provoke and disturb. Can we bring it back to the big picture view? In response. Yeah, cool, calm, collected, who I am for myself. Even though the power of stimulation to provoke and disturb because of his own Mars is there, okay? That reimagination, that belief, the stories that are told, that is part of the path. Remember, life path. Yeah, the path that we're walking towards where we came from, the North Node, as far as our fixed star. Oops, don't go into there unless you're ready for it. Okay, that's it for my class here. What questions? There we go. Okay, hang on, I need to catch up with the chat. Excellent mediator after 44-ish for Lavana. Nice. Well, but also it's part of what's grounding for her. So it's already an intrinsic part of what she genetic inherited from the mother side of the family. Remember, father side of the family, sun. Mother side of the family, earth. Okay, grandparents, generally speaking, as far as the connectivity or relatability. And then here, this is how one sees, okay? How one sees. This is what you are. Sun, earth, awareness principle, sun, earth, physical principle, physiology, here, psychology, how you see and where you are, the path that you're walking, the road that you're traveling, the people around you being shy, not you necessarily, unless you're a two as well, you see. You're welcome for taking the pressure off of performing. Nina wants to practice, play with the keynotes, but can't yet be on the spot so quickly with so many to hold at the same time. I'm still in the stage of writing it down to weave them. Yeah, great recognition there, Nina. It takes so long to learn a new language. You have to speak it every day if you're going to be able to articulate in translating symbology into sound formulas. It just takes time, familiarity, practice, repeating. Repetition is the mother of all learning, quote unquote, directly from Ra. So repeating it over and over and over and over again, practicing, playing, speaking. That's why I try to get the engagement of you watching this to play with it, to practice. So you don't have to say it out loud, of course. You just say it to yourself when I'm quizzing live like that. Another way of getting really good at this, holding your own study groups. I would do it for my Living Your Design students, where once they were through with the LYD, I would hold regular study groups where they could come and I would practice keynoting their charts and asking, okay, so I would identify and label first because, that's where you start. You identify and label. So I would explain what that gate was and see if they resonate with it, or rang true, or what's it like for you. That's my way. But any way that you can, practice and play with the keynotes. You might like the refrigerator magnet, idea of putting together linking notes. You might like the research. Here's this example of going into the research and seeing what is it that Ross said about this and placing it all down, contemplating it. How can you explain it? Imagine yourself in third person and that you're describing it to somebody else. That's usually a little bit easier way to get your mind out of your own trip when it comes to practicing with your own body graph, pretending that this is a third person. So I like to go into, imagining what would I have told this person? It's so funny. There are a couple of people in my life who were born either that same day or the next day that have found me through design. And I'm always so jived, like excited when I can give them something that I've gleaned from my experience, contagion of the mind, from experience. So imagining going back to yourself before all of this wonderful world of human design opened up, and what would you say to that person? Natalie, what else do you have?
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi. Yeah.
I wanted to share that I was listening to Nina's and Raquel's reading last time, and I thought they did an amazing job. And Raquel actually moved me to tears a little bit while I was listening. And I thought she was hilariously funny and heretic, bringing out that whole, profile. And it was amazing. You guys did an amazing job, and I just wanted to share that with you. And Nina, you did an amazing job making pictures with your slides and stuff. That was awesome. So I just wanted to share that with you guys.
Awesome. Thanks for the
Yeah.
recognition there. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was really amazing. It just made my day. This kind of stuff, seeing the brilliance come out of your filter. Yeah, we're all filters of consciousness. So to have you own it, who are you for you or others or whatever the case may be. Yeah. Diana's adding Nina's HD workbook is great for learning and concretizing the info. Is it available on Amazon now? That's excellent. Good for you, Nina. Congratulations. That's awesome. Yeah. And yeah, if it's stressful, if, something happens, there's no pressure. I can remember, especially back in the day, Lavina would choke, not even wanting to go to school if there was a test or homework I hadn't done. So you don't have to worry about judgment on my part if for some reason the day comes and it doesn't feel right to you. It's just that you'll have to do what you can for that day. And then if not, you're going to have to turn in a recording, which is sometimes a little bit easier for some people to do, harder for others people to do. So it's totally up to you. Okay. Providing the space to mentor you, to give you guidance if you're are open to receiving or asking, curious. Excellent job. All right. So remember, when you look at your course area, I don't think I'm even logged in at the moment. Let me see if I can get in there. I just went straight to Zoom today. Here we go. Okay. So when you're in your course area, remember, Lavina gave you way more information that you would normally get. Okay, I went through and I created content for you for this class that normally isn't included. So please don't feel overwhelmed, like way more, right, Natalie? Way more. Okay, I almost like redid it again. I'm like, no, it's fine the way it is. You don't have to do it again. Just, it's enough that you have Ra's material. That's, enough. But when it comes to these handouts, all you have to do, get some carve out a chunk of time, like Mari was saying. Get a block of time. This is all you're doing. Focus on getting your notes out, writing out the things that you need to write out. Sun, Earth on both sides, and your nodes are the bare minimum. Okay, and you're going to go and get whatever resources, Ra's materials, look it up, find your incarnation cross, get the notes that he says. He's saying it. You don't even have to make anything up. You just go see his stuff, pull the notes out for your sun, earth, your configuration, what quarter of the wheel, what profile it is, grab that information, put it in a document. Can you rewrite it in your own way, putting it into context? Type strategy authority. Okay. Type strategy authority. Keynote weave the elements of the planetary life aspects that are conjunct with the sun earth, because we know that affects them, or in the nodes. Okay. So for nodes, so first step is get your incarnation cross. Okay. Grab that, put it in a document. Next step, you're going to go to, let's see, nodes. Okay. Nodes. Look, Lavina made it for you. Nodes. Find your nodes and get the notes of it and put it into your own language. Your own language. Okay. So did I put the homework in here? I didn't. I'm sorry. I didn't put the video from last week in there yet. I will. Right after this. Had a rough week. This is where, oh no, this is where this video will be. So then next week, hopefully we'll have deliveries every day. And if you have questions, remember, please just tag me wherever it is that you find the material that you have a question about. Yeah, Ra's quarters and angles audio is the core of this, required. So make sure you listen to that. And then Ra's ebooks, required in order to do this work. How else are you going to do the work? Well, I guess you could get your definitive book of human design and you have a paragraph there. That's the other place you can pull from. Go to the definitive book, grab the paragraph of your cross and modify it however it is that you want to do that in your analysis. Okay. What other questions do you have, my friends? Anything you need to ask before I let you go? Last call.
Lavina, I didn't know if you were going over everyone's chart, but I was hoping we could look at mine.
Oh, I wonder why it didn't open up. Hang on, let's go grab it. Okay. You're at the very top, so somehow something got deleted. Or not deleted, but when I open everything up, every time I click open, it opens up a new window. So then I have to go back and close the windows. So let's see. Okay, so what might people say? What do we say here? Keynotes of Uranus and Earth.
I'm grounded in the way that I care for others or take responsibility. Oh no, that's 27.
Yeah, but that's okay. You can say the channel name. a channel name. Yeah.
Oh, okay, channel preservation.
Yeah. Design of
Yeah,
custodianship. So
custodianship.
your what's grounding for you is the unusual way that you preserve and protect your tribe in response when you're emotionally clear. See that?
Yeah. Just you doing
That's
that one sentence is like, okay, yeah. I mean, I knew that that was the gate that I was going to focus on within mine, but
mhm,
yeah, just figuring out how to word it all and break it all down
mhm,
in reference to the laws, which Ross said, you know, having gate 56 in the sun for that second quarter, that quarter of civilization, is a
mhm,
great place to be. I was like,
mhm,
oh, okay, I'm waiting on that feeling to hit me on the inside. But yeah, yeah,
mm,
I'm
mhm.
gonna listen some more. I'm definitely gonna listen some more. I definitely feel the unusualness in the way I do everything. Yeah,
Mm, mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So is that the only one? Do we have any other here? Let's see. That
it's
is
in
the only
Sun
one,
Earth.
huh? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. All right. So yeah, that's the one that I would really want to make sure that we hear. Yours is so juicy, you're so full, so many things to keynote weave. So you don't have to go into, deep specifics unless your energy takes you there,
Okay.
right? Because remember, you've already done the foundation analysis for the client. So our main
Yes.
focus of attention is going to be on how do we describe the life's work, 70%, in
Mhm.
context with this portal in space and the way that you see things, or this path that you're walking and what you're attuned to as you walk down this path, this charismatic, busy path where people are selectively busy, you know? Or maybe
Yeah.
stuck. Maybe they're stuck. Why are they frustrated or disempowered? What is it that you are attuned to? You and
Yeah.
your process bringing your recognition or response of the laws, your
Yeah.
responsibility. Yeah. So dropping the
Yeah.
incarnation cross into the life movie gives it life. So we get to hear from you what you recognize. Do you feel like you have enough to write, to do the work?
Yeah, I'll be ready. I'm just doing the listening right now, but I feel like this is
Mm,
the year that a lot of stuff is coming into, I don't know, a clarity. So,
mhm,
yeah, I'm with Mari. I just need to block off the time. I've been listening in chunks and of course reading my quarters and angles and it's
mm,
not long. The part, if you're
mhm,
just reading about
mhm.
yourself, it's not long.
Yeah,
So,
it's very short. Mhm,
yeah, just seeing, well, not seeing, feeling how I'll use
mm,
stories to,
mhm,
help innovate where I can and where,
mhm,
and keep the ancestral knowledge or the ancestral traditions that are still good. So
mm.
I get that. I'm just, yeah, it's getting in there.
Good.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
The, the priestess of storytelling, part of your conscious core essence. Yeah. You think about a
Yeah.
third color as a priestess. Yeah. Because
Yeah. That downloading desire, the follower.
following your own response
Yeah.
ability and clarity of the story that you're going to tell. What's the story that you tell yourself every day, every day, every day? Those habits that we tell ourselves, that story, it becomes our life. And so what have you
Yeah.
learned from the story that you've told yourself over and over and over again? How can you share a new belief system that,
Yeah.
driven by desire, is going to help us see where you're going? Who are you for yourself?
Well, this is definitely where human design has come in at, as far as helping people be authoritative in their own life. It's just,
Mm,
yeah, yeah.
mm,
The
mm,
human design is my link into the future. That's the part that I've been attracted to. That's like, ooh, this is juicy. So
mhm,
yeah,
mhm,
does it go with some of my elders and ancestral people? Would they
mhm,
understand it? Maybe not, but
Different life
That's
we
where I'm
live,
headed.
different world. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so I am feeling that quirky unusualness in the way that I even present the information. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Yeah.
this will be interesting. This will be fun.
Mhm. Excellent.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Looking forward to it. Mari
Me
is
too.
saying, Oni, Mari says, Oni, you're going to rock it. I'm looking forward to sharing the virtual stage with you.
Thank you, Mark. Mari, I love you. I saw you sign up and I was like, oh yeah, that's juicy. Good. So good.
Yeah, that's going to be
Thank
fun.
you.
Mhm. Diana says, I find that when I am patient, you end up sharing in your abstract way. I am definitely abstract. Hey, I can't help that one. Sometimes my mind goes, God, I wish you would be a little bit more logical, right? The mind. Um, I'm glad that that was what you needed to hear and that this was helpful in order to get started on your homework. Yeah. Anything from Raquel or Nina as far as recognitions of what helped to get your homework done? I know, Raquel, you were like, I just want to get it over with. Maybe that was a good motivator. I don't know. What would you recommend?
My process is just doing what you were laying out at the beginning, is just pulling keynotes, just lists and lists of keynotes, and then
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of like a storyteller-ish, and it just kind of, I just pull the keynotes and then I tell a story with my keynotes that I have listed out.
Yeah, your story, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one was probably easier to do because it is my
Mhm.
story.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm very knowledgeable of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a
But yeah,
familiar
I'm in the
story.
same place that Nina is, that I've just got to sit down and just write boatloads of keynotes and then pull it all together. You know, having gone through PTL1 last year and learning how to do that the way we did and having to do it every week was very helpful to applying that same way of doing it. And it was a really good suggestion to take this right after that because it did come
Oh,
so easily.
I'm so glad. Yeah, because it's fresh in your mind, you know, you had that experience. Otherwise, it would have been another 2 semesters before you go into this particular piece. So I'm glad that was supportive for you. Thank you for letting me know.
And I was hemming and hawing about even doing this, honestly.
Mm.
And I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what, I need to just do it, get it done with.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's literally what it took, was that little shift in my mind. And then I just spent 2 or 3 days working full bore on it, nothing else. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just wanted to get it done. That's why I snuck my name on the list there last minute. Because it was
Aha.
kind of sudden that I pulled it together. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Awesome.
yeah,
Thank you.
sure.
How about for you, Nina? Anything that you want to recommend that was helpful for you in your process of getting your homework done?
Yeah, so I had to be kind of sharing what Raquel was saying about going into, or just coming out of PTL1. And I think knowing what my process was that last semester really gave me, I think, the confidence of like, okay, this is what I have to do. And I found that I kind of actually had to make a checklist of things,
Mm-hmm.
and making sure I covered everything. And then once it's almost like I gathered all my keynote ingredients and I needed them on the table. And then once it was there and I kind of figured out what the structure was going to be, then it was just a matter of like, okay, how do I want to say this? And I
Yeah.
actually did it a bit backwards. Actually, I did that last time too. I found that I
Okay.
started with looking at the roll gates and I was like, I'm supposed to start. My mind was like, you got to do this in order. And my body was like, I don't care what you say. This is what we're doing. This is what just felt natural. And I just allowed myself to write whatever was coming through and just not judging how I thought it was supposed to be. So there was a little bit of personal triumph of that. not letting my
Mhm.
mind win in a way. And I think as I was looking at the keynotes and starting to see things, because I did my own chart, I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. And I was like, okay, let's pretend this is not you.
Mhm.
What would you tell the person? And bring in the
Yep.
practicality.
Mhm.
And I was, I felt like I kind of, for a week leading up to it, was like eating, breathing my incarnation cross. I would like stay up late. I would wake up, and not because I felt like I had to.
Mm.
There was nothing else that I really cared to do. The energy was there.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think it was more of like, how do I just surrender, how do I say it? It's like, there was just a lot of transformational, transpersonal things that were happening in creating this for myself, that how could I not do this? And
Mhm.
was really seeing, even now, like almost 2 weeks later, really seeing the things that I wrote, like, oh, you wrote about that, and here you are living the thing. I'm like, oh my God,
Mhm.
so it was very powerful to
Mhm.
do, and not get caught up in what I thought it needed to look like. And the other big tip
Yes.
before, the week before, where you were like, I forget
Mhm.
exactly what the words were, but you just gave me this. I wasn't looking for your permission. I didn't know what I was looking for. I mean, I never know when you're going to give me what you're going to say, but it felt like, oh, the vision that comes on is, I think going through PTL1, I was like a horse, but I was like reined in
Mhm.
in this like farm. I'm like, okay, this is what you do. You go here, you go here, you go here. And then I think the guidance that you gave me, I felt like you just let go of the reins, and I just got to write and be free.
Yeah.
And that was a little scary, but like she said, I could do this. So, okay. And
Mhm.
that was
Mhm.
probably so awesome to
Mhm.
just let myself have it. So I don't know if that's helpful and practical, but that was my process.
I found it wonderful because by being practical, checklist, it's always practical not to judge your own process as a projector, because we cannot know for certain what our own, identity is, and not getting caught up in what you think it's supposed to look like, but just organically allowing for what is expressing, what is lived inside of you, letting it flow. And if there are stops and starts, that's okay. Whatever your process is, don't judge your process. Everybody's going to have a different process. Some people have to begin with the end in mind. So, some people are retrograde planets strongly prevalent in their design. And so maybe they need to work backwards. Whatever your process is, it's perfect for you. Thank you for sharing all of that. It's excellent. Okay, let me catch up with the chat here. We see, is there a problem with energy and hacker attacks? Yeah, I don't know if it's just me or what, but my website got hacked. My computer got some stuff, and like I signed up for this service, and it's constantly catching hackers. I have no idea what's going on there. Diana, my biggest fear is somehow giving the wrong info and causing harm in some way. Okay, let's discuss that, and that'll be our last question concept. Okay, so when it comes to you and your process and experientially, we all learn through cycles of experience, especially when you've got strong threes, you have to make the mistake. But there comes a point when you trust your authority in response with emotional clarity, that the person in front of you is there for a reason, that there are no accidents, that you, with your magnetic, open, and enveloping aura, or whatever it is that your aura is there embracing that person for that moment in time with your voice if it's on distance. Yeah. So just trusting that your authority will bring the right person and right timing, and they'll get precisely what you lead them to give to them, that is part of the process of you encountering them naturally, organically, as someone who's influential on this path of dealing with strangers from an objective viewpoint. Just trusting that your body, you cannot control what comes out of your mouth sometimes, the way it is explained. You cannot dictate what that person is going to take away from the reading with you at that time. Your synthesis, your taking large amounts of data and being able to empower first by you being empowered. You go first always. You cannot empower someone from a disempowered place. So coming from this authentic place, your empowerment, your clarity is enough. And that whatever they take away from you is not up to you. You can strategically plan and plan and plan till the cows come home, but you cannot control what emotional mood or chemistry that person comes to you with. And even if you misspeak, okay, wherever we have threes, even if you are misidentifying or something, just knowing and trusting that life is what it is and we'll all be okay as long as you're coming from that authentic place is enough. So I can tell you it's a very common thing that people have. What if I say something wrong? Okay, so this is why we always say, trust your own authority. Where Ra always says, don't believe me, try it and see. Where we always give the power back to our client and we do not tell them what to do, but we instead hold them in this intrinsic truth that they are their own authority rather than trying to take the power perspective. I know better than you. That is the most dangerous thing. Ra always is warning against it. And you'll notice that sometimes I might even abreact. I've been seeing it lately in a couple of other classes where I come from this place of, well, what's it like for you? Somebody says, well, what is it supposed to be for me? I say, well, what's it like for you? You know, what is this like for you? And then just helping them along with a little bit of labeling. If they're students in my classes, they are analysts once they get past a certain point. So I've done enough. I don't need to explain what's it like for them when this is their job. What's it like for you? You know, so the intrinsic knowing is a gut sensation. Anything that is not authentic to you, it will come with some discomfort, dissatisfaction. It can even lead to disease when you believe in it so much so that it runs your life rather than you being your own authority. So just trusting, taking a deep breath and finding that undercurrent within, that place of clarity, that deep, calm well of knowing that this is right. Because when your mind gets all caught up in stuff that it is not, you know, not knowing what is supposed to be interesting or valuable to the client, that's a focus that isn't consistent, therefore not trustworthy. We always come back to this deep well of clarity and calm. And if you can't get to that space of clarity and calm before an analysis with somebody, reschedule. People most of the time understand, oh yeah, trust in fate sometimes steps in the way. And today, even though they scheduled it, just not being the day, you have to have self-care first as an analyst. You have to get right with you first, clean, clear as an instrument. If you don't, if you come into that session stressed out and pressured and colored by your fears and doubts and insecurities that lead you to feel even more uncomfortable, it's not going to be your best quote unquote performance. Because at that point, when you are working with a client, it is a kind of performance, but you can only do what you can do and you learn from the experience. So just trusting that, you know, everybody has their own personal destiny, that people are there for a reason, and the takeaway will be exactly what they require for that moment. You cannot control how they take in even what you say, because depending on their mood or attitude, you say a word that might be triggering to them and they go off on this spiral of not self-challenge and question and doubt. I mean, this was Lavina's mind before human design for the longest time, where my husband would try to give me a compliment and all I could hear were the negatives. it's almost like watching those silly movies, dramas, where one person says one thing and the other person takes it totally wrong. My life was a living example of that. So we cannot control where the person is at when they come to us. All we can do is hold space from our place of integrity. So that's the only thing that you can be responsible for, and trust your process. So you feel really nervous, you feel incredibly scared, it's okay to take a breather. And maybe a better time would be next week when, who knows what? I mean, my teacher, Becky Markley, she would trust that when people reschedule, it would be right timing for them, you know, and maybe your wait list like hers, longer and longer, a couple of months sometimes, but just trusting that at certain times when the connection happens, that there are going to be certain ways that you say things that might be different even a week later. After you give your own analysis of your incarnation cross, your analysis gifts will up level because you will have done it, you know, for yourself. How's that landing? Good. Yeah, see, you're scheduled with Becky several times, so you're super understanding. Sometimes I found when I was in the beginning of the thralls of my deconditioning still too, I had a lot of one-on-ones, and sometimes I would just feel not up to it. And last minute, they would be the one that would reschedule, not me. And so it was one of those gifts of serendipity abounding when you are in alignment. Yeah, something comes up and, oh, I'm off the hook. Yay. And then it just happens to work out best for all for sometimes of this work that we do. So self-care is vital for especially the non-energy types, but anybody, you know, who is emotional, making sure that you're in a right place with you, as in calm, equanimity. Take yourself out of the picture, focusing on them and their process, their experience. Yeah. This is an experience guider. You're an experience generator. They're all perfect. We all have our own fractal as far as the designs, all being perfect for the process at hand, which for you, explanation and empowerment and sharing to synthesize large amounts of data naturally in order to influence. You got this. Okay. Yeah, timing is everything. Okay. I feel complete. Until next week, my friends, enjoy your week and your studies and your planning and your layering of keynotes, the poetry of keynoting. Practice with a friend. If you need some support, reach out to each other. You know, if you need somebody to read to out loud, it can help. Yeah, when you read it out loud, even if you don't have anybody there. Maybe you're speaking it to a phone that you then sent to somebody else. It can sometimes help just imagining that somebody else is there. For me, it wasn't enough. I needed to have an audience for it to be able to come out. It was very hard to do homework alone. So if you need support, get support. Okay, partner. Reach out if you need help. I hope that was helpful. Thanks, my friends. Until next week or whenever I see you. Bye for now.